Hey everyone, my name is Caroline Cross and I'm this year's Vice President for Recruitment for Auburn University Panhellenic. We are so excited that you're interested in participating in our Fall 2020 primary recruitment process. A lot of the questions we're getting right now are all about recommendations, so we figured that this would be the content for our first ever Panhellenic YouTube video. So what is a letter of recommendation? A letter of recommendation is simply a way for a chapter to get to know you before you come into the chapter during recruitment. Sometimes a sorority chapter may require a letter of recommendation, but if they do require one, it's the chapter's responsibility to find a potential new member a recommendation. So if you don't have a recommendation letter for every single chapter, don't worry about it. Recommendation letters are written by alumna chapter members of a certain sorority. This woman did not necessarily have to attend Auburn University, she just had to be a member of the sorority chapter that you're asking for a recommendation. It is perfectly acceptable for a potential new member to reach out to the alumna chapter member herself. If you don't know who to ask, start with the women in your community. Start with your teachers or people who go to your church, your friends' parents, your parents' friends, and anyone else around your community. You'll be surprised how many people you know that were in sorority chapters in Auburn or in other places. A lot of times we get questions from the women writing the letters of recommendation about where they should be submitted. Online is the best way that letters of recommendation can be submitted. It's the fastest way to get the information to the chapter, and the woman writing the recommendation will receive notice when the recommendation is actually received by the chapter. If the woman writing your letter of recommendation cannot submit her recommendation online, she can submit it through the mail. She'll need to address it to the Office of Greek Life, and our address can be found on the Panhellenic website. When you ask an alumna to write your letter of recommendation, you'll want to provide her with your resume, a picture if you would like to include one, and a thank you note. These are all the materials that you'll need to include for her if she's going to submit her recommendation online. If she's going to submit it via mail, you'll also want to provide a blank envelope and some postage. Remember that these materials, such as your resume and your picture, don't need to be sent directly to the chapter. This is just information that the woman writing your letter of recommendation will use to submit the actual form to the chapter. Here are a few important things to remember about letters of recommendation. The first is that online recommendations are the best way for them to be submitted. All of our chapters have updated their website so that they have an online platform for letters of recommendation to be submitted by alumna. Next is don't worry if you don't have a letter of recommendation for all 18 chapters. A lot of the information that goes into a letter of recommendation will end up on your recruitment registration. With that being said, a letter of recommendation is not your official recruitment registration. Our registration will open around the end of the month and we will announce it via our social media and our website. In this registration, you will include things like a transcript, a picture, and a list of high school activities and honors. But we'll talk more about that in a future video. The last thing to remember is that a letter of recommendation does not guarantee you a bid from any of our chapters. A recommendation is a great way for chapters to get to know you before you come into recruitment, but it does not bind them to giving you a bid at the end of the week. Don't forget to follow our social media and periodically check our website for the latest and most up-to-date information. We are so excited to have you joining us in the fall. Thank you, and War Eagle.